Welcome to Oldsmobile 455. This is my artisan Kitchenaid in basically candy apple red. I've had it for years. This summer it was sitting around for quite a bit, and when I took it out this fall to work on making some bread, I noticed that oil was dripping from the underside, which is disgusting. So we need to take a look at replacing the packing around the gears as opposed to throwing this machine out, because this is a quality machine. We need to get the head off to get at the gears. We need to get at gears underneath and on top. So we start by taking off this back piece with a Phillips. Do we have somewhere to put screws? Easily. And then we have tension relief here. So that we don't pinch the cords, we want to pull that out. Fairly simple. I'll turn it around. The next step is to get this basically an escutcheon off of here. So I'll need a small flathead screwdriver to pry it off very gently. And there's grease in there. Let's take a look. Quite a bit of grease, which I don't want winding up in my bread mix. We tilt this up. We need to get this pin out, and we need to get each one of these screws out. And there's quite a bit of grease, so a rag would be handy at this point. Also, there's 2 screws we need to get off under here first, actually 4. Here's one with a washer on it. The guys make this look so easy. Oh dear. Can you lend a hand to catch that? Quite a bit of grease. Don't want that in our batter. I don't know, should I have gotten a manicure? Removing the screws so that we can get the cover off, because what we want to pack is up here. We also are going to want to get some grease down in here before we put everything back together again. So theoretically, this piece pretty much lifts right off, although I think it needs a little pry. There we go. Aye. Yeah. So this is the muck we have to get rid of, and we have to be careful of this seal down here that we don't tear that. It's obvious where the breakdown was occurring.
Is this a huge amount of grease?
Yep. Removing all the old grease best I can. You might want to take a break and clean this up a little better with a rag as well once the majority of the grease is out. I don't want to get bristles in here though from this chip brush. So here we are, open, some of the grease cleaned off with the chip brush, and we have this little pin that's holding in the seal. We can lift the seal off very carefully. There's actually tabs in the back, make that a little easier, so we can clean under it and probably even clean the seal a little. Yuck. You want me to actually, yeah, this is quite liquid. I mean, that's oil. This is grease that broke down over time, and I believe gone under here, you can find this is has more viscosity. The replacement that I have, I believe, is a white food safe grease. This seemed to break down pretty quickly after the last time we repacked it, so I'm going to try a different grease this time. Ordered on Amazon. Looks like earwax on out of here. I've been told you don't have to be fastidious about this, but I'm fastidious about no grease getting into my mix. Packing these holes with paper toweling to get the oil out probably would have been a good idea, and next time we'll get a food safe cleaner to clean this thing up spick and span. I don't know how these 2 different oils are going to mix. Oil, greases rather. This portion here, this I guess spindle or whatever this is, what would you call it?
It's a spindle.
A spindle. There's a washer in here that you have to be careful. That fits right in here. This one? Just pull. The mystery pin appears. We don't know where this pin came from. We're going to have to figure it out. Yeah, I probably should. So, discovered the pindle comes completely out, which is where that mystery pin came from. So we can, ooh, good Lord. Well, hey, that makes life easier. So this is kind of like spelunking in an ancient Egyptian pyramid. We're finding pieces as we go along. I'm told this thing underneath is called a
Thrust washer?
thrust washer, which was hidden in the grease as well. In my enthusiasm for getting this cleaned, we realized there are two washers. And the question is, after one dropped, are these interchangeable? And they are. They are the same size. Reference the caliber. The grand opening. You can see there's some viscosity to this stuff.
Do not use wheel bearing grease.
Don't use that. Use this. We've decided we're going to grease as we go, putting this thing back together. And
Are you putting that whole container in there?
almost all of it. Because that's how this thing was shipped, greased up like that. Oop. Near miss there. We almost forgot the gasket. Maybe a bit challenging. Hopefully that'll stay there and help me turn it if necessary. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Be a little less generous with the grease here. Cover that nut anyway.
That's going in like a quarter of an inch.
Yeah. Got it?
It's very close. That shaft has to come out about flush or just barely protruding out of the bottom of this piece to be able to get that pin in there.
So we had a little bit of a moment of panic. We decided to see how the machine sounds, and it sounded absolutely horrible, like there was a piece of metal grinding inside, but as it turns out, you let it run a little while, it's probably the grease that had to sling off and become a bit less viscous. So now it's sounding pretty normal. The escutcheon. We're pretty much done.